Elon Musk just made some very interesting comments. In fact, I have to say I'm genuinely surprised. He said the government should not pass the EV subsidy bill in the Build Better Act. So why did he say this? What's going on? Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. You're watching The Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. Fantastic to see you here. And isn't it another awesome day in the electric car world? There is so much good news today. I think I've got 25 tabs open just from today from all the different news that's going on. People say to me, why do you make so many videos per day? Well, if no one else does it, then I have to, right? No, seriously, no one's doing it. No one is actually bringing you all the news. People are just bringing you little snippets here and there, little bits and pieces. But the reality is, so much is going on in the industry that if you only read one thing per day, you're basically just missing out on what's really going on. So that's the aim of this channel, bring everything to you, or at least as much as I can. Now, the only way I can do that is through support from Patreon, so I really appreciate your support. If you're a patron of the channel, big shout out to you. Thank you very much. I'll put a link in the description below to our Patreon account. Now, Maria Morano has just reported for TSLA that Elon Musk has spoken in an interview with the Wall Street Journal at the publication's CEO Summit recently. At the summit, Musk covered many different topics related to the companies he leads, including Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. He also shared his opinions about the US government's latest EV subsidy policy and its spending habits. And I've got to say, yep, I have to agree on the spending habits. They are getting out of control in the United States. At some point, if you live in the United States, you've got to sort of hold the government accountable to some degree to say, yeah, okay, enough is enough. We have to stop spending to some point. I know it's a drug. Most of the Western world is addicted to spending. But at some point, there has to be some sort of financial responsibility with this crazy fiscal stimulus that's been going on. Now, Tesla and electric vehicle subsidies. US President Joe Biden's Build Back Better Act includes EV subsidies of up to $12,500 per electric vehicle. Now, I have to say, I actually agree with the act, except for one part of it, which all of you know what that is. If you don't, you can write it in the comments below and someone I'm sure will respond to you. I don't want to get into it because, people get a bit emotional about that. But I agree in principle with the majority of the act of giving subsidies to electric car manufacturers. Why? Well, right now, the American government is subsidizing companies not in America. It's madness. It's the only country in the world that is saying, hey, Japan, here's some money, take it. Hey, Europe, here's some more money, you can have it. We'll prop up your automotive industry and we'll just hurt our own. I mean, realistically, General Motors and Tesla don't get any subsidies for electric cars, and they haven't for, more than a year now, whereas everyone else does. It doesn't make sense. It's madness. I can't understand why they don't immediately change this. Why is politics so difficult and so challenging? So, my point here is the American auto industry needs to survive. It needs to survive for a number of reasons, very clearly, for us to have stability, for competition to exist, so there's not monopolies. We have to prevent monopolies. Monopolies are terrible. When you see monopolies like Facebook and Twitter, where they just do whatever they want, Google as well, these kinds of monopolies are not good for the economy. They're not good for the people. We want to get rid of monopolies. And if the American country itself can't produce its own cars, well, what's going to happen? The world's largest car market, the world's largest electric car market, more than 50% of all cars sold that have been electric this year have been sold in that market, and that's China. And if China has, say, 80% of the global automotive manufacturing capacity, then that is bad. That is really not a good result. So I think that this subsidy is needed. But for some reason, Elon doesn't. I'll get to why in a second. Now, the US government hopes that the tax incentives will encourage consumers to make the electric vehicle switch. The bill has passed in the US House of Representatives, and it's now under deliberation in the Senate. Now, obviously, America has woken up to some degree. China's been aware of this for a long time now. That electric cars are most certainly the future of the automotive industry, whether that's 2025 or 2030. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen very quickly. And if they don't subsidize that industry, as is every other government that actually makes vehicles, then America will be well and truly left behind. Now, Tesla could benefit, of course, from electric vehicle subsidies distributed by the Build Back Better Act as a car company that solely manufactures electric vehicles. They would massively benefit. Tesla hasn't relied on tax incentives to drive sales in a very long time, as it became ineligible for EV subsidies way back during the Obama administration. Musk probably surprised everyone at the summit when he advocated for zero electric vehicle and fossil fuel subsidies. And this is what he said. It's worth noting that the electric vehicle purchase tax credit, the $7,500 US, Tesla stopped getting that 2 years ago. Whereas everyone else except General Motors gets the $7,500 tax credit. So all of our sales this year and last year had nothing to do with the tax credit because we're no longer eligible because we've made so many electric cars. Isn't it just crazy that they made this rule? It's bizarre. Tesla's made roughly 2/3 of all the electric cars in the United States. And for that reason, I believe we should be supporting them more than we are, American government in particular. Anyway, get back to what Elon said. I'm not sure if most people are aware of that fact. So Tesla's made roughly twice as many electric vehicles as everyone else has made put together. Honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation, Musk suggested. Now, okay, the challenge here, I believe, with Elon is he's thinking here perfect world. In his mind, perfect world, there's no subsidies for gas, for oil, right? As we know, that is never going to happen. So I think it doesn't make sense what Musk is saying here because we know we don't live in a perfect world. We're never going to. These subsidies for oil and gas, sure, they'll decline, but they're never going to eliminate them. They're just part of our structural society. So I think the subsidies are needed to sort of even the playing field out somewhat. So instead of subsidies for EVs and the fossil fuel sector, which received $5.9 trillion last year, Musk suggested that the US government should optimize its spending habits. We spend so much money. The federal budget deficit is insane. You know, it's like $3 trillion. Federal expenditures are $7 trillion. Federal revenue is $4 trillion. That's a $3 trillion difference. If this is a company, it will be a $3 trillion loss. If the United States was a company, it would make a $3 trillion loss. That is so ludicrous. It's just what? I don't know if we should be adding to that loss. That seems pretty crazy. Something's got to give. You can't just spend $3 trillion more than you own every year and don't expect something bad to happen. You know, that is not good. Musk doesn't seem to wholly disagree with Biden's Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, though. He believes that the US government should put funds into specific infrastructure to support the number of vehicles on the road and the increase of congestion caused by traffic. I think we generally could have better airports, better highways, and I think, especially in cities that are congested, there should be something that can deal with extreme traffic, which I think is a combination of double-deckers for highways and building tunnels. Obviously, the Boring Company would come into the equation here, I imagine. But if we don't do something, we'll be stuck in traffic forever. And as autonomous vehicles come to the fore, there will be more cars on the road and the traffic will get much, much worse. So we really need to do some combination of tunnels and double-deckers on freeways. I don't see a strong effort in this direction, he said. Now, one question I have for you watching the channel is, what do you think about flying cars? There's a whole lot of companies right now working on them. And some of these companies, like Xpeng CEO, believes that there will be flying cars on the road, well, in the air and on the road in 2025. Do you think that could happen? I'll make a video about that soon, by the way. Now, Musk's venture into tunneling with the Boring Company addresses traffic congestion seen in many cities. Las Vegas already has a Boring Company loop system connecting the 3 halls in its convention center and is planning another tunnel system with TBC with stations at popular tourist spots. Fort Lauderdale also has started negotiations with the Boring Company for a potential loop to decrease traffic congestion. Now, the HR 3684 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act was signed into law by President Biden on November the 15th. The law makes this the most significant investment in roads and bridges in the past 70 years. It makes the most significant investment in passenger rail in the last 50 years and in public transport ever, said President Biden during the signing. Now, what do you think of this act? Do you think it makes sense? What do you think of what Elon Musk thinks of the act? Do you think we should have a subsidy for electric cars in America? Personally, I do. I mean, as you guys know, I am a fan of Elon. I personally, he says a few things here and there that I don't agree with, but in general, I'm a big fan. But in this case, I think he's wrong. I think we should have this act. I hope it's passed soon. Get it done. Get it done now. Let me know in the comment section what you think on this, though, and what you think of Elon's comments. Do you agree or not? Thanks for watching the channel. Look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Bye-bye.